Imagine giving up everything for a dream. For 43-year-old Jasmine Carter from Memphis, that dream had a name: Omar Reed. The man she'd fallen in love with through a screen, a man who promised her a paradise in Kingston, Jamaica. He wasn't just offering a new relationship. He was offering a second chance at life, a life she felt slipping away in the quiet routine of Tennessee. So she took the ultimate leap of faith. She sold her car, she sold her furniture, she sold the very house she called home, liquidating 14 years of stability and packing her entire future into a one-way ticket and a suitcase full of hope. But this was never a love story. It was a hunt. Jasmine wasn't a partner. She was the prey. The moment she stepped off that plane, she entered a meticulously crafted trap. It was a cold, calculated plot to take her life savings, a conspiracy involving not just the man she loved, but a mysterious second woman pulling strings from the shadows, a ghost named Chantel who held the real blueprint for Jasmine's demise. What happens when you discover the person you've given up everything for wants to take the one thing you have left? What is the final, desperate move you make when you realize you're thousands of miles from home, and the only person who knows you're in danger is your killer? We will expose the secret text messages that unraveled the entire plot, laying bare the cruel script they wrote for her. And we will hear the audio of the final, frantic call for help Jasmine made when she realized her tropical dream had become a death trap. As we get ready to dive into Jasmine's story and see how this perfect online romance turned into a terrifying reality, just a quick note. If you appreciate these deep, detailed dives into true crime, please take a moment right now to subscribe to Crime Next Door. And if you find yourself hooked on this incredible, twisted story, which we think you will, we'd truly appreciate a like down the line. It's the best way to help us keep bringing stories like Jasmine's to light. We need to understand Jasmine Carter. She wasn't an easy target. She was simply a good woman who had worked hard all her life. In Memphis, Jasmine held a stable job as an administrative nurse at a busy local hospital. She was dependable, efficient, and well regarded by her colleagues. She had a comfortable house, close ties to her family, and a routine that brought stability. But in the quiet evenings, after the shifts ended and the family scattered, there was a void. After a difficult divorce years earlier, Jasmine was looking for a connection, for someone to share the second half of her life with. Her friends knew her best. As one friend later recalled, Jasmine had the biggest heart. If you were her friend, you were her family. She just wanted someone to share her life with, someone who saw how truly special she was. She was trusting because she herself was trustworthy. This quality, her fundamental kindness, would tragically become her greatest vulnerability. She poured her energy into her work, but deep down, she longed for the excitement and romance she felt she had missed. Her search for that missing piece led her away from the familiar comfort of Memphis and onto the screens of dating apps. And that is where she met the man who would change everything. The man was Omar Reed. They met on a popular social media platform, initially in a travel group. Omar presented himself impeccably, charismatic, articulate, and running a small, successful import business in Kingston. Their relationship didn't explode overnight. It was a slow, deliberate grooming process, like bait being carefully laid. The first month was all about love bombing. Jasmine's phone buzzed constantly with flattering messages. "Good morning, my queen," and "thinking of you and your beautiful smile." He made her feel seen and cherished. Over the next 3 months, the connection deepened into nightly video calls. Omar was the perfect director of his own life story. He'd show her around his nice, though likely borrowed, apartment, or walk the Kingston waterfront, making her feel present in the warm Caribbean air. Crucially, he listened. He didn't just hear her problems. He remembered the smallest details about her past divorce, her favorite color, her fears about the future. He became her confidant, the man she felt understood her better than anyone in Memphis. Then came the promises, the real currency of the scam. He sold her a future so vivid she could almost taste it. "We'll open a small cafe by the beach," he'd assure her. "You won't have to work another day in your life. I just want you here with me." He even claimed his family couldn't wait to meet the woman who has captured my heart. He created a narrative of destiny, convincing Jasmine that their love was worth tearing down her old life for. He even began sending photos of houses, beautiful, vibrant properties that he claimed they could buy together. The distance between Memphis and Kingston faded entirely. The trust was absolute. The love felt real. So when Omar suggested she sell everything, cash out her retirement, and move to him to finalize their property purchase, it didn't feel like a risk to Jasmine. It felt like destiny. It felt like the happy ending she had been waiting for all her life. But the moment she sent that last wire transfer, the clock on her new life truly began ticking. Jasmine made the final arrangements. The sale of the house went through. She exchanged bittersweet goodbyes with her worried family, assuring them this was the beginning of her great adventure. Every possession, every piece of furniture, every photo, every item of clothing that didn't fit into her oversized suitcase was gone, liquidated into a singular, large sum of money. This fund represented her entire life savings, the entire foundation of her future, and it was now earmarked for the house in Kingston. She was completely untethered from her old life. On the day of her flight, the excitement was immense, drowning out the tiny voice of doubt. After the long journey, she finally walked through the arrival gates at Norman Manley International Airport. And there he was, Omar Reed, just as handsome and charming as his video calls, holding a bouquet of exotic tropical flowers. The meeting was perfect. The airport moment felt like the climax of a romantic movie. The first few days were a blur of whirlwind romance. Omar took her to stunning beaches, candlelit dinners, and showed her the beautiful, vibrant energy of Kingston. The passion was everything she had dreamed of. He put her up in a nice, secluded hotel suite, not quite the home by the sea, but he had a smooth explanation. He told her, "My queen, this is temporary while we finalize the purchase of our new home. The paperwork is almost done, but I wanted us to have a proper honeymoon first." Jasmine was completely swept away. She was in her paradise, with her man, ready to start their life. She felt safe, secure, and truly loved. But while Jasmine was distracted by the sun, the sea, and the illusion of romance, the real work was about to begin. Omar hadn't brought her to Kingston for a honeymoon. He had brought her there for a transaction. The clock was running out on the fantasy, and the conversation was about to turn from love to logistics. The honeymoon phase ended precisely when the topic of money began. Jasmine, eager to move forward, suggested they deposit her life savings into the joint account they had discussed for the house purchase. This was the moment the man she loved transformed. Omar became immediately defensive. His charm vanished, replaced by irritation and impatience. He told her, "The banks here are slow, Queen. We need a special business license first, and that will take weeks. We can't wait." He leaned in, lowering his voice, giving her the classic, urgent scammer line. "Just transfer it to my personal account for safekeeping. It's faster. We are getting the house, aren't we? It's our money." He pressured her relentlessly for the account details, but something in his tone, the demand, not the request, made Jasmine hesitate. She told him she needed a day to think about it. That hesitation bought her precious time because the cracks were appearing everywhere. Omar was glued to his phone, but not for her. He was now constantly taking calls in the bathroom or stepping out onto the balcony, speaking in low, rapid tones. The moment Jasmine would walk into the room, he'd hang up abruptly, offering a flimsy excuse about a business colleague. Then came the second, undeniable warning. While Omar was distracted one afternoon, Jasmine caught a clear glimpse of his phone screen as a notification popped up. It was a text from a contact saved as Chantel, and the message read simply, "Did you get it yet?" When Jasmine finally found the courage to ask him about it, Omar lied smoothly, without missing a beat. "Oh, that's just my cousin. She's a real estate agent helping with the house. She's just impatient." Jasmine tried desperately to rationalize the change. "It's just culture shock," she told herself. "Things are different here. He's stressed about the house." But the charming, open man from the video calls had been replaced by a stranger, a secretive, guarded figure with anxious eyes. A cold knot of dread was forming in her stomach, miles from home, whispering that she might have made the worst mistake of her life. If you were thousands of miles from home, and your partner started acting this way, becoming secretive about money and hiding phone calls, what would you do? Confront them immediately, or quietly investigate to find the truth first? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As Omar left the hotel room, claiming he was going out to run an errand, he forgot his phone charging on the nightstand. The screen lit up faintly in the dim room. Jasmine looked at it, her hand trembling. The secret was locked inside that device, and she knew she was about to face a truth that could either save her or destroy her. Jasmine's internal struggle was over. Her suspicion had won. Alone in the quiet hotel room, she picked up Omar's phone. To her relief and her terror, it was unlocked. With a sinking heart, she scrolled through his contacts until she found the familiar name, Chantel. She opened the message thread. It was the turning point. The horrible truth wasn't revealed in a single text. It unfolded line by line, page by page, exposing a year of calculating deceit. The messages confirmed that Omar and Chantella were, in fact, a long-term, intimate couple. They weren't real estate partners, they were co-conspirators. Jasmine could only stare as she read the history of their plot. They referred to her not as Jasmine, but as the American cow, or, most chillingly, the lottery ticket. They discussed the entire scheme in cold, financial terms. They detailed how Omar had to perfect the grooming process, the late-night calls, the promises of the cafe, the entire future he had sold her. They laughed about convincing her to liquidate her assets and move to Kingston. Chantel, the ghost orchestrating the plan, was particularly cruel. One message, sent just days before Jasmine arrived, read, "Is she buying it? LOL. Can't wait for us to be in our real new house once the account is drained." Their plan was laid out. Omar was to get her passwords, drain her accounts completely, and then they would abandon her, penniless, in Jamaica, leaving her with no money for a flight, no home to return to, and no one to trust. The shock was absolute. Every word Jasmine read was a hammer blow against the reality she had built. The past year of her life, the intense love, the perfect future, the promises, it was all a script. It was a sophisticated, drawn-out performance designed to steal her life savings. And she, the kind, trusting woman from Memphis, was the fool who had fallen for it, sacrificing everything to walk right into their trap. The fear was instantly replaced by a clear, icy clarity. She wasn't just heartbroken, she was in mortal danger. Omar would be back soon, and he would realize she knew the truth the moment he saw the look in her eyes. The race for her life had just begun. The moment Jasmine replaced the phone on the nightstand, her terror transformed into a cold survival instinct. She wiped the tears and swallowed the rising panic. When Omar returned from his supposed errand, she forced a weary smile, claiming to be exhausted from the travel and the heat, acting as if nothing was wrong. But inside, her mind was racing, formulating a desperate plan. She had to get her money and get out. She seized a moment alone under the guise of using the bathroom and made a frantic, whispered call to her sister back in the US. "Something is wrong," she choked out quickly. "It's not what I thought. He's not who I thought. I need to come home. Please, don't tell him I called. Just be ready." It was a fragment of a warning. The last lifeline she could throw. Her next move was crucial, securing her assets. She tried to log into her bank account online to transfer her entire life savings back to a secure account controlled by her family. But the hotel Wi-Fi was agonizingly slow. She initiated the transfer, but the large sum remained pending, stuck somewhere in the digital ether. It was a race against the clock she was losing. Then, Omar's gaze shifted. He tried to be affectionate, but Jasmine couldn't mask the deep-seated fear. She flinched when he touched her. The look in her eyes, the sudden, dead awareness, was something he hadn't seen before. Later, under the pretense of checking his messages, Omar casually checked his phone logs. He saw the recent activity on the messaging app. He may have also checked their joint account progress, only to find the entire balance was frozen in a pending transfer. The game was definitively up. He knew that she knew the truth. This story is about to take its final dark turn. If you're still watching, please support our channel Crime Next Door by hitting that like button. It helps us continue to seek justice for victims like Jasmine. As the tropical sun finally dipped below the horizon, bathing the room in shadows, Omar stood up. He walked slowly across the room and deliberately slid the bolt on the hotel room door. The sharp mechanical click was the loudest sound Jasmine had ever heard, sealing her inside the trap she had traveled thousands of miles to enter. The click of the lock signaled the end of the pretense. Omar dropped the romantic facade entirely. The man standing before Jasmine was not the loving partner from the video calls. He was a predator whose carefully laid financial plan had been compromised. "Where is the money, Jasmine?" he demanded, his voice low and dangerous. "Don't play dumb with me. I know what you did with the transfer." He was furious, not heartbroken. He cared only about the massive sum of money stuck in that pending transfer, and the fact that she had successfully tried to move it out of his grasp. He demanded the passwords, the codes, the details of the new secure account her family controlled. Jasmine, fueled by the last ounces of her survival instinct and understanding that giving him the codes meant utter destruction, refused. The argument exploded into violence. Omar lunged at her, intending to intimidate her into giving up the codes. He grabbed her by the throat, slamming her back against the wall of the small hotel room. He shook her, screaming demands for the information. But when she continued to struggle and fight for air, the financial rage overwhelmed him and the violence escalated. Omar used his strength to overpower her, maintaining pressure on her neck. He wasn't aiming for silence. He was aiming for submission, but in the close confines of the room, as Jasmine fought desperately for her life, the act of intimidation quickly became fatal strangulation. He held the pressure for several agonizing minutes, ensuring she could no longer struggle. In that sealed hotel room, thousands of miles from anyone who could hear her whispered call or offer help, Jasmine's dream of love was violently extinguished by the man she had trusted with her life. For Omar, the sudden, brutal act of murder was immediately followed by cold calculation. He had the body, but not the money. Grabbing her wallet, her phone, which held the evidence of his own crime, and her laptop, he walked out of the hotel room. He left her body behind, locking the door once more. In his arrogant panic, he believed he had bought himself days, time enough to figure out the banking codes and find his ghost accomplice, Chantel, before Jasmine's body was ever discovered. Omar believed he had time, a massive mistake that would cost him his freedom. Back in the United States, Jasmine's sister, terrified by that frantic whispered call, tried to reach her again and again. There was only silence. Within hours, sensing the profound danger, she bypassed normal channels and contacted the U.S. Embassy in Kingston, demanding a wellness check. The Jamaican Constabulary Force, led by the sharp and experienced Detective Inspector Henry, was dispatched to the secluded hotel. They entered the room and discovered the tragic scene. It was immediately and unequivocally a homicide investigation. The dream of paradise had been shattered, replaced by the grim reality of murder. The police quickly identified the victim as Jasmine Carter, an American traveler, but the investigation immediately took a sharp turn. Contacting her family, Detective Henry learned about Omar Reed, the online lover, and the large sum of money involved. Crucially, they also learned about the panicked last call where Jasmine mentioned a conspiracy. The hunt wasn't just on for Omar Reed, it was a manhunt for two. Just moments after leaving the hotel, Omar contacted his accomplice, Chantel. "It's done. Let's go," he frantically messaged, eager to meet up, get the money, and plot their final escape. But Chantel had been tracking the local news. She knew immediately that a romance scam had become a full-blown murder case, and she knew Omar was desperate and volatile. Realizing he would throw her under the bus to save himself, she made a clear choice: betrayal. Chantel cut off all contact, took whatever money she had managed to secure, and vanished into the crowded streets of Kingston. Omar was left completely on his own. Driven by arrogance and desperation, Omar made his fatal mistake. He still believed he could access Jasmine's money. He drove to an unfamiliar part of the island and inserted Jasmine's bank card into an ATM, attempting to withdraw a large amount of cash. The transaction was instantly flagged by the U.S. bank due to the unusual location and activity. That digital ping went straight to the authorities, giving the police his exact real-time location. Within the hour, police swarmed the area. Omar was arrested without a major fight. He was found looking disheveled, defeated, and shocked. The man who had charmed his way across international borders, the hunter, was now the caged. The only thing missing was his original prize, the money, and his silent partner, Chantel. The capture of Omar Reed was swift, but the road to justice was deliberate. The trial summarized the horrifying reality of Jasmine's final days. The prosecution's case was airtight. The evidence against Omar was overwhelming, painting him not as a desperate man, but as a calculated predator. They presented the chilling text messages between Omar and Chantel, referring to Jasmine as the lottery ticket. They tracked the financial trail and, crucially, introduced the testimony from Jasmine's sister regarding that final, panicked, coded call for help. The use of Jasmine's bank card at the ATM proved Omar's greedy motive long after the murder. Omar's defense was weak. He tried to claim the death was accidental, an unfortunate consequence of a fight that went wrong. He desperately tried to shift the blame, pinning the majority of the malicious planning on the vanished Chantella, attempting to paint himself as her less culpable pawn. It was an effort in futility. The jury saw the deliberate grooming, the financial motive, and the brutal final act. After a short deliberation, the verdict was returned. Guilty of murder, Omar Reed was sentenced to life in prison. Jasmine's family provided a powerful victim impact statement, with her sister stating, "He didn't just take her life. He stole her hope. She came looking for love, and he gave her only a burial plot." Today, Omar Reed is serving his sentence in a Jamaican correctional facility, a complete failure in both his criminal plot and his personal life. Jasmine's family did achieve some financial justice, but it is hollow, a tiny compensation for the loss of a sister and a daughter. But one central figure in this plot was never brought to justice. Chantel, the woman who helped orchestrate the entire scam from the shadows, was never found. Did she flee the country? Is she living under a new name, perhaps already searching for her next victim? She remains a ghost, a loose end in a story that desperately needs closure, a silent reminder that the true conspiracy often has layers. Jasmine's tragedy serves as a critical warning about the dangers of online romance scams and the method known as love bombing. Never allow a stranger to control your finances. Always perform basic checks. Reverse image search photos. Never send money. And if your partner refuses to let you introduce them to your family via video call early on, that is a clear signal to run. Above all, always trust your gut. That cold knot of dread Jasmine felt was the truth trying to save her. What do you think happened to Chantel? Is she still in Kingston, or did she disappear completely? And what is the single biggest red flag in this story that everyone should watch out for? Let's discuss in the comments and help keep each other safe. Jasmine Carter went looking for love and was met with the worst kind of greed. Her search for a second chance ended in a horrifying betrayal. Her story is a heartbreaking tragedy, but also a crucial warning. Thank you for joining us at Crime Next Door as we honored her memory by telling the full truth. If you found this story compelling and important, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and let us know your thoughts on this case down in the comments. Sharing this video with someone you know is the best way to help us prevent others from falling victim to similar scams. To see more deep-dive true crime investigations, check out the rest of the Crime Next Door channel right now, and stick around for the end screen where we have more recommended videos waiting for you.